several reasons that people hate resellers, like myself included. Anytime I have a video that gets a lot of traction outside of our little bubble here, friends, the number one comment I get is, get a real job, you're scum, you're stealing from the poor. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it and heard it, and it made me think, why do people hate us so much? I am a reseller. If you're new here, I have been a part-time reseller for over 10 years, and this is not new to me. It's just happening more and more frequent now that I am posting about social media, posting about reselling on social media. It's making me stammer for the amount of hate I get for being a reseller. The number one comment is, get a real job. The next one is, like I said, you're a scammer, you're stealing from the poor. So I thought we could have a conversation, in case this reaches a wider audience, about why people hate us so much and what we can do about that. Backlash. Collect yourself, Nikki. The times where I get the most hate is when I used to sell on Amazon. I don't sell on Amazon anymore. I replaced Amazon selling with live selling. I just couldn't manage it all. When I was flipping like more essential items like diapers, I told you all I bought a pallet of adult diapers because I got a steal of a deal on them. I paid anywhere from like $2 to $4, and I literally sold a pallet of them for like $20 to $40. People get very upset at resellers in general, but especially if you're a reseller that flips a lot of essential items. I'm talking, the most essential thing I've sold, honestly, are those diapers. Everything else I resell, it's not that essential, but I have friends, and I wrote down the things that they sell. I have friends that resell baby formula. They resell a lot of like cleaning goods for household goods. I have friends that all they do is resell concert tickets, like event tickets, and those are the resellers. And from what I've seen after the last decade of doing this, those people that are doubling and tripling the price of these more essential items get way more hate than I ever have. I have one video, it's a shorts video that had like 60 or 100,000 views, and it was basically me going into Goodwill talking about buying a sweater for $10, and I ended up flipping it for $60. Yeah, I get the, you know, oh, you suck and you're stealing from the poor. I know a lot of these people are very uneducated on the amount of waste there is from the fashion industry in our world. There is no way, as a clothing reseller, I am stealing from the poor. There is so much clothing in the world, good quality clothing too, because a lot of times people will rebuttal and be like, yeah, there's a lot of clothing, but you're taking all the good clothing. No, I am not, friends. There are thousands and thousands of pieces of clothing that are still available. I'm not clearing out the whole thrift store of all the good stuff, okay? I actually worked with Goodwill and went behind the scenes at their Goodwill outlet and saw the mountains of clothes they were moving. If you haven't seen that video, it's a couple years old, but they actually took me behind their warehouse and showed me like the inner workings of thousands of clothing pieces that they have to ship out of the country. Because there's just so much. So I'll leave a link to that video down below. But those are the resellers that get way more hate than us clothing resellers get. The ones who are really doubling, tripling the price on essential things. Not so much even like concert tickets, because those aren't essential, but I'm thinking like the essential things. Those resellers, and I'm not saying that's good, that's bad. I'm just saying they get way more hate than I ever have, and I feel like that those people, the hate they get kind of then trickles down to us. We all just get lumped in together, basically. Whether you're flipping baby formula, whether you're flipping a $2 sweater from Goodwill, we're all the same to everyone. You all know I'm a nerd, okay? So I have my notes. One of the things I kind of like polled these haters. I will talk to the haters in the comments and be like, why do you think this is not a real job? Like, why do you hate me so much? I actually asked someone this on one of my videos that was going viral, the short where it has like 100,000 views. And this guy, Joe, basically said, you guys are the greedy middlemen. So there's this idea that we don't add any value. We're just a middleman that's making money, and he gave the example of like, why should I pay extra just because you grabbed it first? And his like comment had like 50 likes. I think this is really especially true for like luxury and vintage goods. When buyers see resellers charging like $500, maybe I'm using extremes, but this is he went on a rant. He's like, you know, I see these like luxury resellers and they're like, oh, I went to Goodwill and found this Gucci bag for $20. I'm thinking, first of all, can you tell me what Goodwill that is? Because that's never happened to me. And they're selling it for $500. And they're like, come to my Etsy shop or come to my eBay shop. It just feels shady. And he said it's like, it's creating a narrative. Like I literally wrote it down verbatim. You didn't create that bag. You didn't even refurbish it. You're just marking it up. And, you know, while as resellers, we know there is so much more to it than that. There is so much more. There's the sourcing, there's the cleaning, there's the listing, there's the customer service, there's the driving. That's just not how it feels to the average shopper. We, as resellers, just have to continue to educate people. Honestly, I'm going to be so honest. It is very annoying to have to just repeatedly explain. And I've actually just taken a break because when these videos reach outsiders that are not resellers, it's exhausting responding to all these comments. Like, this is a real job. This is a lot of work. And while you may not appreciate that I'm doing it, a lot of people do. I literally just had a girl who messaged me. I sold her a gown for $150 on Poshmark. And she was like, I'm so grateful for this. I don't think I've received a message like this ever. I'm so grateful for resellers because you all are able to find exactly what I want without me having to search for it. I can literally just go into Poshmark, type in the name of the gown I want. I saw it a couple years ago. I couldn't afford it. I wanted it pre-owned. I put in my size and it pops up. She's like, I can't do that at the department store. They don't make it anymore. I couldn't find it at any of my local thrift stores. So there are a lot of people that appreciate what we do, but I think there are more people that don't appreciate it, and we get a bad rap. Unfortunately, we just get lumped in as like greedy middlemen, that it's super easy work. And while yes, it's not physical labor, sometimes it can be, it's not physical labor, you know, we're not saving lives, but this is a real job. The sourcing, the listing, the research, the learning brands. Anyone can be a buyer. I've always said this. We can all just go out and buy clothing, but to actually be a successful reseller, to buy things, to list them, to sell them for a profit, that is work. It's a lot of work. And if you've watched any of my videos, you will know that this is work. It is a real job. So I need to stop being lazy, because I used to just educate people and respond in the comments about why it's a real job. I would like copy and paste explaining, and you know, some people, no matter what, they just still see us as scammers, but some people I was able to change their mind. So I just think it's important, and I need to do this myself, to occasionally put out videos like this explaining how what we do is a real job. And if you are new here and you're not a reseller, please go and check out some of my other videos. I mean, there's a lot of research and back-end work that goes to this, the photographing, the listing, the storing. I pay a couple $100. I pay close to $1,000 a month now for a storage unit to store all of my items. There's no personal stuff in this storage unit. It is all for work. So this is a business. It is set up with my accountant. I am running this as an S Corp. I pay myself through payroll. This is not a joke. This is not just for fun. I do love it, but this is a real job. And the government recognizes it as a real job. Thank you very much. There's a perception that we are hoarders. People are just fed up with us and the idea of hoarding. They really say, like, someone basically, I was doing a video where I was showing my office, and I probably had about like 100 pieces of clothing that I said, you know, I'm going to photograph and list within the next 2 days. And she was kind of like, well, you guys are supposed to be all about sustainability and minimalism. I put her comment here, but why aren't you buying less and like reusing more? Like, why are you buying so much that you have this much that you need to work on? She was saying, like, you know, resellers, you're just buying entire racks of new and secondhand goods, and you're leaving nothing behind for local buyers, which again, I feel like that's just a lack of education. Because I don't know about you all, but I'm not buying entire racks when I go to the thrift store. I can't remember the last time I bought an entire rack of something. And I live in a major city. There are thousands of items in the thrift stores I go to. So I think we just have to educate people. And she was just saying, you know, I think a lot of us feel like resellers are just driving up the prices and reducing access to good deals. So that could be a whole other video on why prices at the thrift store are going up. We can tackle that another time. And social media, I think, really makes it easy for people to hate resellers. There's so many videos about exposing like bad reseller behavior, like, you know, I won't even get into it, but there is a lot of hate out there on social media. And so like, I feel like just bad rumors spread like wildfire. Like, do you guys remember during 2020 when there were those resellers that were like going to, where were they going? I don't even know. I just kept seeing articles about it. Like they were going to Costco and buying all the hand sanitizer, and they were flipping it for like thousands of dollars on Amazon and Walmart. And so I think a lot of people associate all of us like that. Like we're all buying all the good essential stuff. We're becoming rich and prospering off of their despair. And I'm like, dude, I'm just buying this little J. Crew top. I literally got this for $2 and I'm flipping it for $20. I'm not going to Costco and buying up all the diapers and flipping it. Yes, I flipped adult diapers that didn't even sell that fast. It took me a while to sell them. And I mean, they're kind of an essential. I guess they are, but like the majority of the stuff I sell are not essential goods. And I was going to get into a whole other caveat, but we'll save that for another video. But yeah, I do think it's kind of crappy that they did that, especially during times when people really needed that stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not saying resellers are perfect, but I also don't feel like I should be lumped in with them. Like, I'm not going into thrift stores and buying thousands of pieces of clothing. I'm not doing that, and I hope I'm not misleading by posting on social media when I go out, because I have a lot of come thrift with me videos, but I'm really real. Like sometimes when I just filmed a come thrift with me when I was in like Palm Springs, Palm Desert area. I told you all, I left with like 4 things, and most of them were for myself. I didn't even buy to resell. So I don't know, we just get lumped in with a lot of people that do some things that people don't agree with, and I don't know, I don't think we clothing sellers should be like portrayed as those people that are buying formula and hand sanitizer and face mask and flipping it for 5 times the price, when we're just trying to like flip some tops and some dresses and some shorts. You know, where do we go from here? So this is what I wrote. I think as a reseller, it's more important than ever that we're really transparent, ethical, and we need to educate a lot of, I wrote down our buyers, but I feel like it's not even our buyers. It's we need to educate, especially those of us that have a social media following. We need to educate the people that view our content and let them know like what all of this entails. I think that's the bigger thing, and I need to raise my hand and step up and do that, because I just got so overwhelmed probably for about a year that I just stopped responding on these videos that would go kind of viral. I'm doing air quotes because for my little channel, for a video to get 100,000 views, that's viral. So I need to step it up. Like my videos that are about buying Goodwill outlet palettes, those video comments are so strange. It's like 50% are people who want to resell and are like, where can I buy it? And then the other 50% are people literally ripping me to shreds, how I'm a scammer, I'm stealing from the poor, how could I buy a pallet? It's literally a pallet of like 400 clothing items for 60 bucks that Goodwill put into a pallet because it didn't sell in the store. I'm like, do you realize they have hundreds of these pallets? We are not stealing from the poor. a lot of the general public just needs to be educated on how much waste is happening in our world just from the fashion industries. So for those of you that maybe are still watching that are not resellers, comment down below, do you see resellers as greedy or helpful? I will say, circling back to like them calling us hoarders, I agree, some of us are hoarders. I have been doing this long enough, and I'm not OCD, but I don't like mess. And so I cannot have a death pile that is huge, friends. Like, I call it a money pile. Basically, what us resellers call a death pile is like items that need to be listed that are just sitting there. I cannot do that. So when I panned over my office and I showed those hundreds, it was 100 pieces of clothing, I was not lying. Those were all listed, photographed and listed within 2 days. And it was out of my office and put in inventory. But I know a lot of us resellers, and I've been this way, I've been doing this a long time, where we hoard stuff. We just hold on to it. Life gets busy. A lot of us are part-time. Even if you're full-time, we have the tendency to buy so that we don't run out. And I think if COVID taught us anything, I think it's honestly a little smart to have a little money pile, because you never know when you can't source or if you get sick or if things shut down. So it's nice to have a little bit, but I think there are people I know that literally have thousands of pieces of clothing or items that is in their money pile. And is that hoarding? I don't know. Who am I to judge? But I understand why an outsider might be like, how is this sustainability? Like, how are you helping the environment when you're buying the stuff, but you're just hoarding it and you're not even doing anything with it? So food for thought. Let me know, resellers, what you think about that down below. Like, do you consider those of us that have those huge death piles / money piles, would you call them a hoarder? Would you say we're adding to the bigger problem? I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. I will be reading everything. I may not respond to all of you, but I will read it. Let me know your thoughts down below. I always give the disclaimer, like, let's be nice in the comments, but share your opinions. But you guys are awesome. I just worry for the videos that get outside of the reseller bubble. I'm like, oh boy, let's try to be nice while stating our opinions, but let me know your thoughts down below. I need to try to make these videos a couple times a year, and I need to make them as educational as I can, because when it reaches outside the reseller community, I think it's important for them to understand where we're coming from.